We're learning that the Israeli army discovered and gleaned the intel on where these bodies were from some of the interrogations, and that it was part of the reason Israel went back into Khan Yunis on Monday and issued new evacuation orders. Clearly, not only was Israel interested in pushing out and dismantling whatever Hamas fighters that had regrouped in Khan Yunis, but they were going after this intel that led them to believe there were 5 bodies in a tunnel in Khan Yunis. And indeed, they recovered them. These were all Israelis that the Israeli army had already declared dead. They were killed on October 7th, on the day of Hamas's deadly surprise attack. They include 3 civilians and 2 soldiers who will now, after forensic testing, because of course their bodies had degraded after 9 months, they were identified and now they'll be laid to rest. The family's grateful, at least, that they're back and can be laid to rest in Israel, but also it has triggered a new wave of anger by the families of the hostages that, every day that goes by endangers not only the lives of the hostages, but makes it even more remote for those who've already been killed, that their bodies will be successfully brought back to Israel. These 5, in that case, they were considered, among, if we can say, the more fortunate ones, that at least their bodies were recovered. So there'll be funerals today. For some of these families, it closes what has been an absolutely terrible and painful journey since October 7th.
Jordana, it comes as well as Binyamin Netanyahu addressed the US Congress. How did his speech go down there?
Well, I think for the families of the hostages, they were very angry by this speech. They were hoping that the prime minister would say something more concrete, something more positive about actually finalizing a ceasefire deal. And instead, they heard the same slogans that Netanyahu has repeated here in the local press, that, he's committed to bringing them back. It's part of his vision for total victory, but that has not satisfied the families. They are calling today for an urgent meeting with the prime minister when he returns from Washington and now Florida. He'll go there to meet with the former president, Donald Trump. I think politically here, Netanyahu's speech, depending on who you ask, from his base, they felt like he gave a very strident defense of Israel's war in Hamas. For critics, Netanyahu left out a lot of details and waxed over and even lied about some things. For example, saying that in Rafah, there were only maybe 24 civilians that were killed. I mean, that is an absolute falsehood, right? The operation in Rafah began with the seizure of the Rafah crossing in early May. It has continued to this day, and there have been hundreds of Palestinians killed. It is far fewer than the thousands that were projected, but to say that just a couple dozen were killed is just an outright lie. He also dismissed the very credible reports from the UN, and several of them, that hunger and starvation are a fact of life for Gazans, especially in northern Gaza. He threw out, a figure about how much food has come in and how much that would be for each person. But we know that there's a great disparity between the aid that's entering Gaza and the aid that's actually reaching the hands of needy Gazans. There's all kinds of issues with distribution, and Israel does play a part in the problems with distribution, given the intense combat and the red tape that goes along with that. So, this is, depending on where you are in the political spectrum here, you have different views of Netanyahu's speech.
Jordana, thanks very much. Jordana Miller joining us there from Jerusalem.
Thanks.